A subject that needs to be talked about is all of the sisters getting laid off from their jobs. Not all of them. A lot of sisters are losing their jobs.
Talking about the government jobs that he was trying to shut down?
Yeah, a lot of jobs.
Shit, UPS just fired 70,000.
I thought it was 22,000 last time. Remember I covered it?
Yeah, I think the goal is 70. But I think the goal is.
Okay. Damn.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, my sisters, the roosters are coming home. My sisters, everything you did is finna come back on you because they have people in place, government-wise, to show you we used you to destroy the village. Now, we really have no use for you no more. Your daddy ain't there. Your husband ain't there. Your son is raised wrong. Your daughter is watching you twerk. You have done what we wanted you to do well in destroying the village. The father of your child is probably in court with you over nothing. We have used you to the same way, like back in the day, Eve ate from the forbidden tree.
Right.
This is the same thing. You ate from the forbidden tree. You went and used a system that destroys you to destroy your family. And now, with this administration in, they have no use for you. Remember all the female black mayors and everything that was happening and all like that?
Yeah.
They ain't got no use for that shit no more. I see the girl. We are the most educated. Yes, they sold you a degree that ain't finna be worth yet. You who have aged out and fell for the sucker shit in destroying your village, your family, and yourselves, the only thing you can do is try to tell your children, don't do what I did. All you women 40, 50, 60, it's over for you. You need to explain to your children, don't do what I did. Don't go around here talking about you don't need a man publicly. Don't go around bashing men for the most part publicly, because all these women who are on the internet for bashing men, there's a record of it, and I think we need to keep a record of these women in case they try to act like they something different later on, but most of them will follow who's ever the leadership. Whether the leadership is good or bad, they'll follow the leadership. While we are in this position we're in, I'm talking about the moral people of the world. You have to be aware of these women that's out for self, not for the village, because they are about to find themselves back in the village with the villagers, and the fronting like you rich, the fronting like all this is finna be over. I'm telling you, most of my sisters are broke than a motherfucker. It's some who have found a way, and I am so happy they have. But most of my sisters are broke, just like most of my brothers are broke. But the sisters was acting like they not broke, holding up drinks on an island that they got there with a buddy pass and all that shit. No. It's finna be time during this administration where this man is literally pouring out all the fish in the pond and letting you see him try to live with no air. He's taking your income away. What jobs do you think will be available for us? When I say us, I'm talking about people of color. What jobs are gonna be available for us in the future? You got to learn how to cook again.
Yeah, back to wet nursing.
Say it again.
It's gonna be tough to get a wet nurse job with fake titties. That's bad for the baby.
He's so stupid.
Shalom, welcome to another video, and as always, before I get started, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachwadash, and next double honors to the head apostles / elder bishops of the great millstone who teach and who rule well. Peace, blessings, and safety to all you sincere Akim. Keep pushing, keep believing, and keep the faith, regardless of what the people hear and whether they forbear. So this is going to be reaction to the clip that I put in the introduction of this video by comedian Corey Holcomb, speaking on the hard times all right, that's coming for Eve. All right, and we say Eve, we're talking about the Israelite woman, starting off with the so-called black woman. Okay, but all, right, all of these, all the different Israelite women that have taken on the American mindset of Babylon the Great, all right, are about to catch hard times, man, because once again, okay, the chickens are coming home to roost, as he said in the video clip. All right, all the things that you've done to destroy your own communities by being joined unto the serpent Esau and taking on his philosophy, he used you as his weapon. All right, these things are getting ready to come back on you. All right, and especially now that when the society falls, okay, the Lord is going to raise up the elect. All right, those elect men, the same ones that were looked down upon, looked at and called bums. All right, the Lord is going to exalt them, all right, and make them as precious as fine gold. And all these things are in the prophecy. So anyways, let's go ahead and dive right into it. In Yahweh Rachazah, the Heavenly Father's will is edifying to the elect. I'm going to start off here in Jeremiah 31 and 22. It says, "How long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? For Yahweh hath created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man." All right, and that's what we saw. When it says compass, it means that, okay, a woman will rise up above a man. That's a new thing in the earth. Okay, Esau society has set the conditions. He's given you power. All right, as long as you played his game, as long as you pretty much aided in the destruction of the Israelite man, mentally, spiritually, all right, etc., etc. Okay, he gave you that power. You were joint heirs in his kingdom, but as Corey Holcomb said, all right, they had no more use for you. The damage is already done. You've destroyed the village. All right, let's go to Isaiah 32. Okay, Isaiah chapter 32. All right, I'm going to read verses 9 through 11. Okay, it says, "Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail." All right, the vintage meaning what? The food stamps. Okay, the Section 8. Okay, even if you're not on that, you have the good paying jobs. Okay, as he said, 100,000 plus. All right, so-called black women have got fired from their jobs recently. All right, and see, the reason why this is happening is because, as we brought out in Jeremiah 31 and 22, a woman shall compass a man, and that has lifted up your heart with pride. Okay, we know what happens after pride. It says before pride go before destruction, and the haughty spirit before fall. All right, so verse 11, it says, "Tremble, ye women that are at ease. Be troubled, ye careless ones. Strip you and make you bare, and gird your sackcloth. Gird sackcloth upon your loins." Let's read it in the NLT. All right, Isaiah 32, 9 through 11. "Listen, you women who lie around in ease. Listen to me, you who are so smug." Okay, and you've become smug. Let's get the definition on that word. All right, the word smug, it means having or showing an excessive pride in oneself or one's achievements. All right, so okay, they have excessive pride because, once again, Esau has given them power as a tool of destruction against us and against our communities. Okay, to pretty much make the authority and leadership of the man in the household obsolete. All right, so continuing on, it says, "In short time, just a little more than a year, you careless ones will suddenly begin to care, for your fruit crops will fail and the harvest will never take place." Right, it says, "Tremble, ye women of ease. Throw off your complacency. Strip off your pretty clothes and put a burlap to show your grief." All right, and we'll come right back to this. Okay, let's go to Isaiah the 3rd chapter next, because all right, this wealth that they received, all right, this money that they received from Esau, this mindset, feminist mindset, okay, it has caused the whole village to be destroyed. All right, it's made it to where the man and the woman can't get along. Okay, for the most part, most of these women in America, period, okay, not just Eve, but most women in general are insufferable, all right, because of the mindset that Esau has pushed on them, all right, through his philosophies. Okay, this Babylon juice has made them drunk. But of course, Jacob being under the curses, we're the most affected by it, and you see the result in our communities. Okay, this is Isaiah 3 and 8. "For Jerusalem is ruined and Judah is fallen. because their tongue and their doings are against Yahweh, to provoke the eyes of his glory. It says, the show of their countenance doth witness against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom, they hide it not. Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves, because our communities are completely destroyed. All right, so our people just are lawless. They have no morals, no code. All right, and we're going to see the reason why as we keep reading. It says, say ye to the righteous that it shall be well with him, for they shall eat the fruit of their doings. But woe unto the wicked, it shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hands shall be given him. Here's the reason why. Verse 12, it says, as for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. Okay, and this can be viewed, it really is going into how Esau is our oppressor, because Esau is like a bad kid. All right, and calling him a child is saying he's of less importance than Jacob, but children are their oppressors. All right, the Edomites, or you can interpret it as literally, you look at YNs. Okay, these are 12, 13-year-old, anywhere from 13 to 20. Okay, are running around, terrorizing the communities. Okay, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. Right, so we live, the so-called black community is a matriarchy. All right, they had the stereotype of fatherless homes, which that's changed. They say that now statistically that the black father is the most involved out of all the races. So that's changed because the Lord is pulling the curses off of us. All right, but at the same time, okay, the damage has already been done. It says, O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err and destroy the way of thy paths. Because when you don't have a father in the household, what do you get? All right, the boys grow up to be like the fathers that are missing. Okay, which most of the time, 9 times out of 10, Eve is going to choose the thug, the gangster, the criminal, the crook. All right, that's the type of man that she likes, and she's going to raise her son to be like him. Okay, or the opposite of that, he'll end up being a simp, which is just as bad, but on another, in another way. All right, it's a different type of evil, but it's just as bad. Okay, and then when you don't have any fathers in the household, what happens to the daughters? All right, they don't have respect for men. Okay, they grow up with that same mentality, men ain't S, blah, 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 this and that. They end up becoming whores, selling their bodies. Not always. Okay, these are extreme cases, but it's not so uncommon for us to say that it doesn't happen. Okay, this is a common outcome for both, or the boys become, homosexuals. Okay, this is a common outcome enough to talk about it. All right, when you have no father in the household, which a lot of our communities were plagued with that. Okay, and it was done by design. All right, and so we live in a matriarchy especially for the Israelite communities, and it's caused us to err. It's caused those that were led, to be destroyed. All right, I'm gonna continue on. I'm gonna skip down, matter of fact, to verse 16. All right, as you see, it says Judah's women denounced. Okay, so it's all the Israelite women, but specifically, the so-called black woman. Because Judah is the head tribe. Okay, they targeted us the most. All right, so it's Isaiah 3:16. Moreover, Yahweh have said, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. And as a matter of fact, let's read this in the NLT. Maybe a little bit easier to understand for those that are not used to the old English. Isaiah 3:16 NLT, the Lord says, beautiful Zion is haughty, craning her elegant neck, flirting with her eyes, walking with dainty steps, and tinkling her ankle bracelets. So the Lord will send scabs on her head. The Lord will make beautiful Zion bald. On the day of judgment, the Lord will strip away everything that makes her beautiful, ornaments, headbands, crescent necklaces, earrings and bracelets and veils, scarves, ankle bracelets, sashes and perfumes, and charms, ring jewels, party clothes, gowns, capes and purses, mirrors, fine linen garments, head ornaments, and shawls. Instead of sweet smell of perfume, she will stink. She will wear a rope for a sash, and her elegant hair will fall out. She will wear rough burlap instead of rich robes, and shame will replace her beauty. I kind of like it in the KJV a little bit better. Isaiah 3:17, therefore the Lord will smite with a scab the crown at the head of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will discover their secret parts. in that day will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet and their calls and their round tires like the moon, because they're lifted up because of their makeup and their beautification products. The Lord's going to take all that away in Jacob's trouble. The chains and the bracelets and the mufflers, the bonnets and the ornaments of the legs, the headbands, the tablets, the earrings, the rings and nose jewels, the changeable suits of apparel, and the mantles and the wimples and the crisping pins, the glasses and the fine linen, and the hoods and the veils. And it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell, there shall be stink, and instead of a girdle, a rent, and instead of well set hair, baldness, and instead of a stomacher, a girding of sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. Okay, so the Most High is getting ready to take away all that pride that's on the daughters of Zion. Okay, and continuing on, verse 25, thy men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in the war. All right, so the young, these YNs, they're gonna get put to death. All right, it says, and her gates shall lament and mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground. So when the time comes, they're going to be made desolate. All right, and they're going to realize that they messed up. Like I did a video last week on a woman that was realizing we traded in the system for our men. And when it becomes apparent that Esau is really not on their side, they're going to try to run back to, their men. But the ones that are going to have power are going to, and he said that in the video, he said they're going to seek leadership, whether it be good leadership or bad leadership. But the women that are not of the elect, they're just going to be led into death. And the women that are of the elect, they're going to be led to a man of the Lord that's going to give righteous spiritual leadership. And those men will become more precious than fine gold. This is Isaiah 4:1. It says, and in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. So let's read this in a different translation. All right. In the NLT it says, and in that day so few men will be left that 7 women will fight for each man, saying, let us all marry you. We provide our own food and clothing. Only let us take your name so we won't be mocked as old maids. All right, let's read this in the CSB. On that day 7 women will seize one man, saying, we eat our own bread and provide our own clothing. Just let us bear your name, take away our disgrace. You got to understand as well that in these times, women are going to be food. All right, especially if you're an attractive woman. You're not covered. A lot of these Instagram models and these lawless, godless men are going to be taking them and doing what they want, and they're not going to be able to fight or defend themselves. But the men of the Lord are going to have provisioning and protection from all high. So that's what's going to make all these women flock unto them, because they're going to see how these men are divinely taken care of. All right, it says verse 2, and in that day shall the branch of Yahweh be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for them that are escaped of Israel. So all right, there are going to be a lot of children. That's what it's talking about, the fruit of the earth. I'm just curious to see what it says in a different translation. Didn't really say much. That's okay though. So actually, matter of fact, let me see this real quick, bear with me. Yeah, it doesn't really say much. Regular translation works. Verse 3 though, it says, and it shall come to pass that he that is left in Zion and he that remaineth in Jerusalem shall be called holy, even everyone that is written among the living. Why? Because as I brought out, they're going to have that protection and provisioning from on high. All right, Isaiah 32, I'm going to read verses 1 and 2. It says, behold, a king shall reign in righteousness, and princes shall rule in judgment. Here's a point in verse 2, and a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. All right, read that in the NLT. All right, each one will be like a shelter from the wind and a refuge from the storm, like streams of water in the desert and a shadow of a great rock in a parched land. All right, talking about the men of the elect. All right, so that's what's going to make them more precious than fine gold. Isaiah 13:12. This also is a prophecy going into Jacob's trouble. It says, and I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. So that's what's going to make these women, chase after that one man, the elect man. He's going to become more precious than fine gold. So let's read this again in the NLT, and we'll read it all the way down from Isaiah 32:9 to verse 18 in the NLT, because it tells you that there will be redemption for the elect. Okay, but these women are going to be humbled. But the hopeful elect woman is going to be redeemed in that time. The women who are already coming in that broken and contrite, humble spirit, all right, you're going to receive your glory as well. Okay, while the rest of the women that are pretty much playing into Esau's tricks, they're going to be trodden down. Okay, as a matter of fact, let me I get that precept. This is Isaiah 32:9. Once again in the NLT. Listen, you women who lie around in ease. Listen to me, you who are so smug. Okay, so you arrogantly superior. All right, you think you're prideful, lifted up. In a short time, just a little more than a year, you careless ones will suddenly begin to care. For your fruit crops will fail and the harvest will not take place. All right, you're not gonna get those perks anymore from the devil. All right, from Esau. It says, tremble, ye women of ease, throw off your complacency, strip off your clothes, and put burlap on to show your grief. It says, beat your breasts in sorrow for your bountiful farms and your fruitful grapevines. For your land will be overgrown with thorns and briars, your joyful homes and happy towns will be gone. It says that the palace and the city will be deserted and busy towns will be empty. Wild donkeys will frolic and flocks will graze in the empty forts and watchtowers. So the cities are going to be cast down. And when this time comes, we're going to see a whole lot of Micah 7:10. It says, and then she that is mine enemy shall see it, and shame shall cover her which said unto me, where is Yahweh thy power? Mine eyes shall behold her, and now she shall be trodden down as the mire of the streets. Okay, so we're going to see a whole lot of that happening. A lot of these women getting trodden down, stumped out. Okay, continuing on though, here's the redemption part. At verse 15 it says, until at last the Spirit is poured out on us from heaven, then the wilderness will become a fertile field, and the fertile field will yield bountiful crops. Justice will rule in the wilderness, and righteousness in the fertile field. And this righteousness will bring peace. Yes, it will bring quietness and confidence forever. My people will live in safety, quietly at home. They will be in rest. Okay. It says, even if the forest should be destroyed and the city torn down, the Lord will greatly bless his people. Wherever they plant seed, bountiful crops will spring up. Their cattle and donkeys will graze freely. Okay, so redemption, all right, for the elect. Okay, but for the rest of our people, the wicked of our people, all right, these Eves are about to catch pure hell. All right, that's the times we're coming into. Okay, and the chickens are coming home to roost, as comedian Corey Holcomb said. But that's it. I'm gonna close it out. Yahweh righteous, always edifying. As always, we give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachash. And until next time, Shalom, and abide the ball.